students, I'm very happy to come up with another video, So this is very interesting video. I'm going to deal with the project work. Project work video. The topic is project work. So here nowadays doing project work, which is also called as dissertation work or internships. So these are very mandatory nowadays. Doing project work, which is also called as dissertation work or internship, are very much mandatory as per the UGC and AICT rules. University Grants Commission, All Indian Council of Technical Education has made doing project works as mandatory in the last semester of UG and PG. Not only UG, PG, also in the BTech, MTech courses. So it is very mandatory. Why we have to do projects? Because it is very mandatory to do project works as per the National Education Planning 2020 choice-based credit system. Several credits are allotted for this project works. So it is very mandatory, as I told you. So if you see project work is having several components. So designing project work. So it is having several components. The first component is identification of a research problem. Identification of a research problem or having a good research question. Good research question. First of all, this project work comes under an area called as a research methodology. Research methodology. This comes under an area called as a research methodology. So this project work is having several components. First one is identification. First one is identification and defining the research problem. Identification and defining research problem. So we know that there are several problems in our life, and those problems are very common. Those can be easily handled. Whereas we are going to select a research problem here. So research problem is a problem which has been not attempted by anyone. So that is the reason why selecting research problem is very, very important. So how you are going to select a research problem? Because you are going to do research project in different domains, in all domains, starting from arts, sciences and humanities. You are going to do you are going to do the research problems by doing project works. So this identification is very, very important, and after identifying you have to define it. Identification and defining the first component, which is the part of the designing of a project work. How we are going to identify? You are going to identify the research problem until and unless you have very basic knowledge, very basic to advanced knowledge in the area where you are going to do the research work. Very basic to advanced knowledge. How you are going to get that knowledge? By searching the information, research information. Nowadays it is very easy to search a particular topic research information. It is very easy. Why? Because we know that very commonly we are going to use Google as a search engine. Along with Google, we are going to use other search engines or other sources such as Google Scholar. Another one is Google Scholar. Not only Google Scholar, you can also go for Web of Science, Not only this, nowadays there are several search engines such as Shodh Ganga, Inflibnet. These are the academic journals. Apart from that, there are also other search engines, private search engines such as SciFinder and also SCI Hub. In the previous days, it was very difficult to search information regarding a research problem, but nowadays on fingertips, using internet search engines and resources, web portals, it is very easy to check the research information regarding a research problem. Why we have to check? Why? Because before doing any project work, we have to see that this research problem has been systematically approached by someone else or not. If someone has approached this research problem, to what extent they have achieved the results. This verification is very important while designing the project works. So first one is identification of a research problem, defining it. How we are going to do that? By searching the information from different sources, online sources. You can also go for again books, journals, magazines, and also some other academic journals which are available in libraries. And after that, now this particular research problem, you have to divide that research problem into objectives and hypotheses. The third one is you have to divide your research problem into nearly 2 to 4 objectives. I want to remind you one point, that nowadays project works are being carried out at UG, PG, BTech, MTech level for nearly 6 weeks to 3 months. 6 weeks to 3 months you can carry out these project works. So generally, for designing a project work, the research problem can be divided again into research objectives. In the research objectives, you are going to know what you are going to achieve and what you are pursuing. You are going to do that under objectives. And these objectives can be achieved by designing a respective hypothesis. Hypothesis is a tentative statement or a tentative experiment which is designed to meet the outcomes required for the objectives. So why we are going to divide this research problem into 2 to 4 objectives? To make it simplified. Again, these 2 to 4 objectives are given hypothesis, if and then statement. It is a if and then, a tentative statement or a kind of experiment setup which we are going to design to achieve results for these objectives which we have set. Then after that, you have to design experiments. So for doing experiments, you have to look for the materials which are required, methods which are required, and equipment which are required. So the fourth point is you have to design the experiments. So in these experiments, you have to go for materials, methods, and equipments. So all these are expensive things. So doing project work without funding and without sponsoring, without fellowship is not that much easy. So that's the reason why always you try to do project works under a institution which is offering a fellowship or which is offering money to conduct your experiments. Why? Because in your experiments you are going to have materials, methods, and equipments you require. So I suggest that those who want to do project works can apply for different notifications which are going to appear every year. Among them, some of the important one which I am going to tell you now. The best prestigious notification to carry out your project works or internships are every year given by 3 science academies. 3 science academies are giving a notification every year. So these people are going to give you some fellowship, accommodation facilities, to and fro travel, and also the things which are required to conduct your experiments. The 3 science academies which are going to come up with the notification are INSA, NASA, and NAS and IAS. Indian Institute of Science Academies, National Academy of Science, and Indian Academy of Science. This is the prestigious fellowship you can apply for this. Not only this, you can also apply for other fellowship or notifications which are going to come. Why? Because doing project work is not that much easy, because you need a lot of money to carry out your experiments. Along with this one, there are several other national laboratories such as CCMB, IICP, and also IISC Bangalore, and also NEPGER, ICGEB, International Council for Genetic Engineering and Biotechnology. So like this, you can see for different kind of notifications. Why? Because these are going to give you the fellowship which is required to conduct your experiments for the project work. So as I told you that to conduct experiments, you have to design experiments for which different materials, methods and equipments are required. And along with that one, so after doing experiments, obviously we have to observe the results. So recording results is very important. In project work, you have to observe, you have to very keenly observe the results. Then you have to record those results. Observation of the results is very, very important. You have to record those results. Then you have to analyze those results. By using different statistical tools such as SPSS and different softwares which are available. And not only that, you have to validate your results. How far your results are giving novel and efficient results. Because while doing experiments, if you have no keen observation, we human beings have got 5 sense organs. No other organism is having 5 sense organs to observe things very keenly. So observation is very, very important. You have to observe the results, you have to record the results, you have to analyze the results, and you have to again evaluate and validate the results with the previous findings. As I told you that some may be also doing this research problem, but your research problem should get results something novel or something which are efficient. So always your results should be either novel or those results should be efficient enough. So for that one, you have to record, analyze, and you have to evaluate, and you have to validate your results time to time. And the other component is that, so after getting results, again you have to discuss your results with that of the previous findings. Your results should coincide maximum to that of previous findings and may depart minimum with that of the present results. Then it is accepted. So after that discussion, then you have to come up with a conclusion that how your results will be helpful for the future work, and what, not only that, your results, how these are useful to for the scientific community. How the scientific community are going to use your results further to carry out the research. Always in research methodology we are going to do the project work, and all this is nothing but contributing for the development of science, for the development of research, whatever the field it may be. So that discussion and the conclusion is very, very important. You have to discuss your results with that of the previous findings, so that your results should be consistent maximum to that of previous one, and your results may depart to a little from that of the present results, and then you have to conclude with your future work, how this is being used, how this work is going to lay foundation for the future work. That is very important. Then followed by that one, you have to write the report or thesis writing. Thesis writing. So these are the 7 components of your project work. Again, I am going to deal the elements of this report writing or project report writing. You have to write the project report, then again you have to evaluate your writing by presenting seminars. You have to present a seminar and Viva OC. Viva OC. Then you are going to award with the marks which are allotted for the project work. So I will be dealing with very clear details how to write the report writing of your project work or thesis writing of your project work. If you see the further details, always the elements which you have to include in your project work or thesis work is always title page. You have to mention the title. Where you are going to mention the title of the project work, where you are going to mention the institution where you have conducted these experiments, some university, some organization, some institution, and also where you are going to mention the sponsorship, who has sponsored for this project work, and the funds given by which funding agency. As I told you that several different agencies are going to give fellowships to conduct project works. So title page should reflect the university in which you are going to do and the funding from where you have gained, and the title. You are going to mention the title of your project work. Then followed by that, you have to include a declaration certificate. So always you have to declare declaration certificate. You have to declare that this work has been not submitted elsewhere, and you are submitting it for the award of your degree under the project work. This you have to mention, that you have to self-declare. Self-declaration is the second element of report writing. Then followed by that, you should enclose a certificate from the supervisor. All these things you are going to do under the supervision of a researcher or a assistant professor, associate professor who is having minimum PhD or postdoctoral experience. So you should get a certificate from the supervisor and also from the head of the department plus HOD. You have to get a letter that this work has been done under the supervision of so and so supervisor. Supervisor is also called as mentor sometimes. Supervisor, and you should also get the certificate from the HOD. Then acknowledgement. You should say thanks while doing this project. As I told you that so many people might help. First of all, your supervisor is going to help you, and then the research group or the project institution where you have did, those people may be helping you. Some non-teaching people may be helping you. Your father, mother, your parents and family members might help in doing your project. You have to sincerely acknowledge them under the acknowledgements. Then the fifth, the other element is index page or contents and abbreviations. you should very clearly mention with page numbers what are the subtopics which you have included in your project work, including very clear abbreviations. Then you have to write the abstract. You have to write the abstract. This abstract is very, very important because some people don't want to see the complete project report, because project report will be nearly around 40 to 50 pages. People may not be interested. So people are interested in studying the summary. Abstract is nothing but a summary which is going to tell you very briefly about your project research problem, your material methods, your conclusion and your work outcome. So all these things are mentioned nearly 2 to 300 words. Within 2 to 300 words you have to give, summarize. This summary is nothing but the abstract. Then you have to include the other component, introduction. So as I told you that what is introduction? Introduction is nothing but you are going to define, you have to define the research problem, how you have identified that and how this particular identified one is being defined. Nothing but you have to explain it to what extent this particular research problem has been done at the national level and at the international level. So in the introduction, again you are going to define, you are going to tell about your research problem, that this has been not done by anyone. However, it may be attempted by some other national researchers and international researchers. Nothing but how the at national level and international level this particular work has been taken up. That we have to mention. Then followed by that, as I told you that this research problem we are going to divide it into 2 to 4 objectives. 2 to 4 objectives based upon the time period. Sometimes you may conduct your project work for 6 weeks, sometimes for even for 3 months. So based on that you are going to design 2 to 4 objectives and hypothesis. As I told you that it is a tentative statement or tentative experiment plan which you are going to propose to conduct the experiments so that you get some results towards the objectives which you have designed. Then followed with that, as I told you that you should clearly give the details. Here I can say that here you can include only 1 page. Totally how it is going to become into 40 to 50 pages. So here it is also 1 page, 1 page, 1 page, and index page nearly about 2 pages, index and abbreviations, and abstract 1 page. Introduction, this is very important, nearly 10 to 15 pages you have to introduce about your research problem, how you have identified and how you are going to define it at national and international level. And objectives nearly not more than 1 to 2 pages, and hypothesis not more than 1 to 2 pages. Then material methods, again this is elaborate one. I think you have to cover it for 10 to 15 pages again. 10 to 15 pages. And results, I think only 5 pages you can conclude in 5 pages. Then followed by that it is discussion and conclusion, nearly 2 pages. And then always your research, your project work should be cited with a particular research information in the form of research papers which are called as references or bibliography of nearly 40 references which you have to give. As I told you that you are not going to do this work without any base. So always while doing project work you should be very much smart. Smart is nothing but you have to, I will explain you what is smart. Always the research problem which you are going to select for this project work should be specific always. Specific, nothing but it should be accurate and it should be precision. It should be very specific, not generalized. You have to keep this in your mind. Then measurable. Your research problem is big. small, in how many days you are going to achieve that. So you should measurable, it should be measurable. So you cannot take big problems and you cannot solve those within 45 days to 60 days. It should be measurable. Then followed by that one, whether it is attainable or not is also very important. Attainable or achievable, because you have to select appropriate supervisor, mentor, appropriate lab according to your research problem. This is very important, because if you select some research problem, if you select some supervisor, some laboratory, your project work is not going to run smoothly. So attainable or achievable you have to look. Then it is realistic or not, whether you can do that or not, because it should have some base. Whether it is relevant or not, relevant to your domain or not, whether you are doing arts, science or humanities, is it relevant to your domain or not? That is also very important, you have to check. Then it should be time bound, within a time frame you have to finish. So all these things, if you are smart enough, I can say that you can complete your project work with very systematically approaching, designing the experiments and approaching the results, concluding, discussing the results, concluding the results. All these things are going to happen if you are smart enough. And finally, in this video, I would also like to give some hallmarks of the research supervisor or mentor which you are going to select. Not only mentor, it is equally important that the project trainee or internship fellow should also have some hallmarks, that he should have logical thinking. If in the middle of your project, if you are not getting results, you have to think very logically how to redesign your hypothesis, how to retest your experiments. Thinking logically is very, very important. Then if that is not being solved, again you have to break that experiment into several and meaningful steps, so that you get some very positive outcomes in comparison with that of the previous results. I mean to say that they should be either novel or they should be either efficient. And not only that one, you should be a keen observer. As I told you that we human beings are having 5 sense organs. Until and unless you have sound observation, sound recording things of your experiments, sound evaluation of your methods, sound analysis of your results, you are not able to know whether results are coming out of your experiment or not. Keen observation is very, very important. This is one of the important hallmarks of a research supervisor or a research trainee or the project trainee who is conducting the project work. Then optimization and reproducibility. This is very important. While doing experiment, you have to optimize different type of variables which are present in the experiment. So I will tell you what is a variable. So variable is a parameter. So again these variables can be divided into 2 different types: control variables and experimental variables. Experimental variable. Control variable means where you are going to not do any experiments, you are going to keep it as control, because always you have to compare control with that of the experiment. So again in the experiment there are dependable variables, first of all independent variables and dependent variables. Independent variables are nothing but which we are going to change, always we have to change some parameters, only some parameters. And then dependable variables means which we are going to observe, which we are going to get the results. So like this, you should optimize different variables of the experiment so that you should get those results, and again. Optimization and reproducibility of the results are the hallmarks of any project work, until and unless the mentor and the project trainee is very alert. And another trait is unbiased. You should not tamper your results. You should not change your results, because if you are going to get some novel and efficient results, those results can be again communicated, again published in the form of research papers. So in that process, you should not be unbiased. You should be biased. You cannot tamper the data, because the results which you are going to get, you are going to show them in the form of tables, in the form of figures, in the form of graphs and statistical analysis, which you should not tamper. So you should be unbiased. And moreover, the hallmark for conducting a project work is that you should have definitely sponsorship, funding or fellowship. So with this I want to complete today's video. So in the second video I am going to explain you the second part of this particular second part of this project work. In that one I am going to explain you about again 3 components, and those 3 components are nothing but the first component. The second video I am telling about the second video components. The first component which I am going to tell you that scientific research communications, writing a scientific research communications I am going to explain there, and along with that one I am going to explain you about plagiarism. Plagiarism, nowadays it is not that much easy to write the research reports. Only 30% you are allowed, only 30%, sometimes it may be only 10% you are allowed to copy the text from the previous sources. Not only that, I am going to explain you about the peer review process. Peer review process in my second video. I am talking about my second video content, which I am going to come very soon. In that one I am going to tell you about the scientific research communications, how to write them and how to submit them, and what is plagiarism and what is a peer review process. Not only that, I am going to explain you about the proposals, writing of proposals for funding. So as I told you that you need some funding to carry out the research projects. Not only that, so I will also try to explain you about some of the statistical methods, how the statistical methods are being used to analyze your results time to time. With this, I want to conclude today's video. Thank you very much.